Hello and Minglaba. Welcome to MI Reader's Myanmar Today. I'm Henry Zin. The government extends COVID-19 precautionary measures to the end of June. State Counsellor says people's participation is important in COVID-19 period. In public transportation, a new normal for highway bus lines amid COVID-19. And from the business aspects, we'll tell you more about the current situation of the stationery market. All these reports coming up later on Myanmar Today, but for now, let's take a look at what's happening in local news. A special flight bringing laboratory equipment donated by the World Health Organization and medical experts who can give the expertise at the disposal of the government in the fight against COVID-19 landed at the Yangon International Airport Sunday. Mr. Walid Ibrahim, World Food Programme Myanmar's Deputy Country Director, said, quote, "In its fight against COVID-19, as the country is very much looking at cargo and medical equipment, test kits, PPEs, or hygiene items, the country is also in need of experts who can come and give the expertise at the disposal of the government." He also said, quote, "This flight, we have a number of organizations whose staff members made it back to the country or entering the country for the first time. We also have cargo belonging to WHO, which, as part of the previous consignment, would be handed over to the National Health Laboratory." The WFP's Global Logistics Service Provision Plan aims at connecting logistics hubs around the world in order to provide an essential link with countries that need to bring in cargo. Similarly, India, China, the Republic of Korea, Singapore, and Japan provided Myanmar with the medical supplies in support of fighting against the COVID-19. The National Level Central Committee for Prevention, Control and Treatment on COVID-19 presented certificates of honors, lapel pins, face masks, and hand sanitizers to the volunteers and philanthropic organizations that are fighting against COVID-19 pandemic in Bago region on Sunday. The committee also provided cash aids to pregnant women, children under 5 years old, the elderly, and the disabled who are receiving quarantine after a handover ceremony was organized at the Zayathiri Ashoka Monastery in Bago. The ministry gave a total of 11.37 million kyats, 30,000 kyats for each person, for 265 pregnant women, 94 children under 5 years old, 18 elderly persons, and 2 persons with disabilities to the Director General of the Social Welfare Department, who is also the in charge of the quarantine center. Officials from the Bago Region Government's General Administration Department and related volunteer steering committees will present the National Levels Central Committee's certificates of honors to 2,609 volunteers and 231 philanthropic organizations in the region. Union Minister for Construction, Wu Han-so, reviewed bridge, road and building development projects in Yangon region via a virtual meeting on Saturday. Deputy Minister Dr. John Lin, Permanent Secretary U Win-tin, and Directors General from the Bridge, Road, Buildings, Urban and Housing Development and Rural Road Development Departments were present at the video conference. Upon the reports, the Union Minister and Deputy Minister appreciated the improvements of bridges, roads, buildings, urban and housing and rural roads in Yangon region and stressed the importance of worksite safety at Yangon Dalat Bridge project. When the Yangon Dalat Bridge is completed, the transportation across the Yangon River will be easier. The Tanlin Bridge No. 3 will reduce traffic jams and make transportation to the Tilawa Special Economic Zone easy. The Union Minister also urged the attendees to give priority to the project's standard quality and completion dates. According to the Directorate of Hotels and Tourism in Chin State, hotels and guest houses in Kampalat and Mindat in Chin State will be reopened in the third week of June following the temporary suspension because of the outbreak of coronavirus pandemic. A total of 13 hotels and guest houses in Chin State are holding the hotel license issued by the Ministry of Hotels and Tourism, and most of the hotels and guest houses are located in Kampalat and Mindat townships. Although the Chin State government permitted the resumption of the passenger bus lines in Chin State starting from the 3rd of June, there are only a few people traveling because of the pandemic. At present, only 1/3 of the hotels have resumed their hotel operations across the country. According to the Ministry of Hotels and Tourism, for the moment, tourist arrivals in Myanmar have dropped by 45% because of the coronavirus pandemic in the first 4 months of this year compared to the corresponding period last year. Over 100 of the modified motor vehicles are notified of deregistration at the Road Transport Administration Department before the end of the current financial year to receive slips, also known as import permits, in return, the department recently announced. RTAD is issuing slips for passenger cars after the modified vehicles are struck off by the registrar. Slips for over 200 vehicles have been issued. RTAD notified the remaining owners to process slip return for deregistration of 6 vehicles impounded at the police station and 114 cars in the vehicles' owners' hands at the respective RTAD branches in Yangon, Naypyidaw, Ayeyarwady, Tennessee, and Bago regions, and Shan, Kayin, and Mun states, as per RTAD's data. RTAD has been confiscating modified vehicles since June 2018. However, the government has granted some relief to owners of modified vehicles by issuing import permit slips, Form Ds, to them, starting from the 1st of October 2019. Under the Motor Vehicles Law, the cars will be seized and cancelled from the list on account of modifications, such as the installation of new parts and changes in the body coach. If modified vehicles are found, they will be deregistered and slips will be returned. The Ministry of Transport and Communications has already notified vehicle owners about the announcement on slip returns and urged them to contact RTAD. At present, there are over 1.09 million vehicles registered across the country, and about half of them are registered in Yangon. That's all with the local news. Let's take a look at the first report now. According to the announcement released by the National Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19, the remaining precautionary measures against COVID-19 are still to be in effect until the 30th of June, and the flights from foreign countries are still suspended till the end of the month. The government is gradually easing the restrictions, including workplaces resuming, restaurants re-providing dining services, and schools reopening.
The National Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19 released an announcement on 3rd of June stating that the remaining precautionary measures against COVID-19 are still to be in effect until the 30th of June. Moreover, the flights from foreign countries are still suspended till the end of June. The remaining restrictions include closures of cinemas and ban on gatherings of more than 5 people for any events and festivities. Previously, the government has already eased some of the restrictions gradually, starting from the lifting of semi-lockdown of townships where clusters of COVID-19 cases were found. Now, out of 11 townships put under a stay-at-home plan, only 1 township is left to be lifted from stay-at-home plan. It is allowed to gather more than 5 people at the workplaces which are resuming operation, and work-related trainings or meetings can be held in accordance with health guidelines.
The restrictions can be eased only because of the efforts of the individuals to the administrative officials. However, we have to take a look at the global infection. The infection rate worldwide is not still kept under control. Moreover, in our neighboring countries, India and Bangladesh, the infection rate is increasing dramatically. We are receiving Myanmar returnees from these 2 countries. From May 18th to June 14th, out of total 74 confirmed cases, 45 were returnees from India, and there are those entering illegally from Bangladesh. In addition, the nature of controlling infection diseases is that it is not possible for people to be under the restrictions for a long time, so it needs to be eased. When easing the restrictions, the action in haste can cause uncontrollable infection. The restrictions should be eased gradually. The extension of anti-COVID-19 measures by government is reasonable.
Relief flights are being arranged to take overseas Myanmar citizens back, as well as thousands of citizens are entering through border gates. When receiving overseas returnees, it is announced to take legal action against entering through an authorized entry point. Starting from the 18th of May, only 3 local residents are infected with COVID-19 and the rest are overseas returnees.
It is not possible for us to live under semi-lockdown or to stay at home for a long time. It is necessary to ease restrictions gradually for the reasons of economic and social sectors. While easing restrictions, we still have to follow the basic healthcare guidelines. It is not completely under control and there is no vaccine for the treatment or prevention. We have to take advantage of easing restrictions to remedy our socio-economic impacts, but we have to be still fully alert of following basic health guidelines.
The restaurants are allowed to provide dining service, but the State Counsellor Aung San Suu Kyi reminded to arrange for social distancing in restaurants more practically. The schools are to reopen in July with fewer students in a class with shifted class periods.
Soon, the schools are reopening and it is essential to follow the rules released by the Ministry of Health and Sports and the Ministry of Education for parents, students and teachers, and also school buses transportation. We supervise schools in advance before it is reopened. For the restaurants, the shops are designed to practice social distancing, but it is separating with a sheet between people coming together. According to State Counsellor Aung San Suu Kyi, we will consider whether it is effective to put a separated sheet between the people coming together to the restaurants. So in restaurants, it is to separate the contact between strangers by putting a separated sheet between the tables.
With the easing of restrictions, the socio-economic impacts are to be remedied step by step. However, the citizens are carelessly staying in and still not used to new normal lifestyle.
I have to go to work, so I have to definitely go outside. I follow the health guidelines whenever I go outside. When we were under restrictions, it was difficult concerning transportation as well as working industry. But when restrictions are eased gradually, we can see some citizens stay careless. We still have to be aware of the virus, and I think that if each individual follows the health guidelines carefully, it is not likely to encounter uncontrollable local transmission.
The State Counsellor wrote on her Facebook profile that there is nothing as wide range as COVID-19 as well as there is nothing as narrow in scope as COVID-19. It is related to all populations, all sectors as well as individuals. That's all for now. This is Dora Susan from MI Radio.
That's a report on the government extending COVID-19 precautionary measures to the end of June. All right, we'll move on to the next report. State Counsellor Aung San Suu Kyi held a video conference discussing with related people who are taking action in preventing COVID-19. On 12th of June, the State Counsellor also held a video conference with Dr. Mama Ji, who extends the fever clinic in Insane Township, Uwang Jomo, who participate in social cohesion, and Don Nanzin Han-u, who makes reusable masks, about the importance of people participation, and they discussed the fever clinic's activities. Pomo has more.
On 12 June, State Counsellor Aung San Suu Kyi also held a video conference with Dr. Mama Ji, who extends the fever clinic in Insane Township, Uwang Jomo, who participate in social cohesion, and Don Nanzin Han-u, who make reusable masks, about the importance of people participation. Some of the COVID-19 patients didn't show the symptoms, meanwhile people became careless about it. Fever clinics are being set up around the country to check the people for symptoms of the COVID-19. About the current activity of the fever clinic, Dr. Mama Ji from Insane Township spoke about it.
We started this community fever clinic in Insane Township with the participation of the volunteers and community organizations on the 2nd of April. We have a lot of difficulties and we have quite a few medical workers. The third case is from the Insane Township. Health workers and healthcare providers are afraid of the infections. If one of the patients is tested positive, the respiratory doctors have to be kept in quarantine. In our country, there are not enough doctors in the hospitals, and that's why we started this community fever clinic. As a community fever clinic, the suspected patients were tested. By doing this, most of the people come to the fever clinic instead of going to the hospitals.
Fever clinics have been established in 22 townships throughout Yangon region. In those fever clinics, there is a total of 162 voluntary doctors, 6 nurses, and 74 volunteers from the community organization. To prevent the spread of COVID-19 and for protection is to wash the hand properly. People need to know the basic step of washing hands systematically. Wu Aung-mo, who educates the people in Rakhine State as social cohesion, spoke about washing hands.
Mr. Road Biaro, Pusipitare, CSBD,
As the government started its preventive measures for COVID-19, we started to deliver the hand sanitizers in the crowded places of the township. We also demonstrated them how to wash hands systematically and properly. We have to demonstrate them and tell them in their ethnic languages. According to the guidelines from the Ministry of Health and Sports, we explained them the infections way and how to prevent them. With the help of some community organizations, some suspected people were accepted and asked them to stay at home.
As the people know that the way for protection is wearing masks, the mask price were expensive as soon as the COVID transmission started in the country. Local people sued the reusable cloth mask during the shortage of the surgical mask. The state councillor also cheered up and held a competition for those local people to get awareness about it. In the live discussion, Don Nancy Han-u, who sued the reusable mask, also spoke about the mask.
The surgical masks are very expensive. I looked at some tutorials from the other sources and made the first one by myself. When I learned that the reusable cloth masks can be used for the production, so I sewed some for my family and friends. Then I posted samples on social media and people are interested in it. So I sold them at fair prices. I also sewed the masks for the kids. There is a little difference in sewing depending on the faces. Some leather straps are too tight and sometimes ears are hot. Reusable cloth masks are fashionable, cheap, and can do it by ourselves.
Since the COVID-19 became familiar with the people, State Councillor Daw Aung San Suu Kyi asked the people not to care about wearing masks through her Facebook page. The State Councillor also held a video conferencing discussion with the related people who are taking action in preventing the COVID-19. From 16 May to 11 June, a total of 73 returnees have tested positive for COVID-19 according to the Ministry of Health and Sport. From 31st January to 14 June, the government tested 45,926 people for the disease. Gaya State is the only region in Myanmar without any reported cases. The global pandemic has spread to 188 countries, killing over 432,000 people and afflicting over 7,872,000 people, according to the Worldometer Coronavirus Resource Center.
That's a report on the State Councillor saying people's participation is important in the COVID-19 period. And we have another report on highway bus lines coming up. Stay tuned. Express bus lines are currently allowed to resume services to all states and regions. However, the operation is just slightly generating and has not returned to the normal conditions, according to Yangon Region Transport Authority. JJ Express, a highway bus line running from Yangon to Mandalay, Yangon to Dangji, and more, are launching innovative traveling styles for new normal situations amid COVID-19. They have separated the passenger seats like private rooms with doors and windows. Pyo32 will tell us more.
Express bus lines are currently allowed to resume services to all states and regions. However, the operation is just slightly generating and has not returned to the normal conditions, according to the Yangon Region Transport Authority, YRTA. According to the instructions of Ministry of Health and Sports, the express bus have to follow the healthcare guidelines, especially social distancing. So the highway bus line have returned the operation with their own styles for new normal traveling amid COVID-19. JJ Express is a highway bus line running from Yangon to Mandalay, Yangon to Dangji, and more. They are launching innovative traveling styles for new normal situation amid COVID-19. They have separated the passengers' seats like private rooms with doors and windows. Speaking to Myanmar Radio about its new traveling style for highway buses and operation, Major Chote, Business Development Manager, JJ Express said.
Customer ခီးသွားဖို့အတွက်စိတ်ပူကြတယ်။ဘာလို့စိတ်ပူလဲဆိုတော့လူတွေနဲ့အဲ့လို contact လုပ်ရမှာစိတ်ပူတယ်။နောက်ပြီးတော့ခီးသွားကာလမှာ virus ကိုကူးစက်မှာကြောက်ကြတယ်ပေါ့နော်
As we know, the public feel worried about traveling amid of COVID-19. The passenger feel anxious for contacting with many people. They want the safe and hygienic traveling style. We have created a new style of traveling, which is normal contact with other passengers and keeping them with social distancing at the same time. The operation of our bus line also stopped since the government restrict travel ban in some region and state last May. During that time, we have got the idea to create for the safety and hygiene of the passenger. Some of the bus lines have already started since 1st June, but we are a bit delay our operation for that. Now, a buses for Yangon Manly had already ran and more buses are also preparing for this new time. Soon we are going to operate Yangon Tongji route.
JJ Express are launching 2 classes for highway traveling, Dream Bus and Super Safety. The Dream Bus package will cost 29,800 kyats, which will give the passengers the feelings of staying at home while traveling. The Super Safety package is reasonable and it will only cost 16,800 kyats. Ula Ao told Myanmar Radio about the updated information on the highway bus route running.
ဒီနေ့နဲ့အနေအထားတွေကိုပြန်ကြည့်ရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ COVID-19 ရောဂါဖြစ်ပွားမှုကာလမတိုင်မီတုန်းကအခြေအနေမျိုးမရောက်ကြည့်သေးဘူးဆိုတဲ့အနေအထားကိုတွေ့ရပါတယ်ဗျာ
Amid COVID-19, a total of 192 bus lines are operating more than 370 buses, carrying more than 4,000 passengers currently from the Ao Mingla Highway Bus Terminal. From Dagong Ea Highway Bus Terminal, a total of 63 bus lines, more than 190 buses carrying nearly 2,000 passengers, and for the La bus line running Yangon ARE are operating more than 60 buses and about 470 passengers are taking the buses. By looking that highway bus line operation has not returned to its full and normal conditions. The bus lines have already been informed to abide the guidelines instructed by Ministry of Health and Sports. The monitoring group from Ministry of Health and Sports, the branch of Yangon Region Transport Authority, the respective township administration and COVID-19 response committee are checking the highway bus lines from following healthcare guidelines. Due to the fewer passengers, the highway bus lines are facing losses, but they are carrying the safety of the passengers by following the healthcare instructions. MOHS stated, and some bus lines have reduced the number of passengers riding on the bus, which is half of the number of passenger seats, keeping the social distancing and covering with plastics and doors between seats. We, the YRTA, are also really thankful for all the bus lines following the healthcare guideline by MOHS for considering the safety of passengers.
Before the outbreak of COVID-19, a total of 387 bus lines operated more than 3,700 buses carrying more than 18,000 passengers every day. Due to the departure hours, the express bus lines, which run at night to Tongji, Muse, and other destinations in Shan State, are still unable to operate. The fewer passengers prevent some express line from launching its full operation. I am Pyo Ritu. This is news reporting from Myanmar Radio.
Well, that's a report on the new normal for highway bus lines amid COVID-19. Stationery business is one of the booming businesses during the month of May every year in Myanmar. However, the impacts of COVID-19 has turned this market into a slow business this year. According to the report by many business persons from this sector, they say that they are still waiting for the speedy recovery of the sale decline once the schools are open and hoping they won't face losses. Williamson has more.
Usually, the month of May is the time when the stationery market gets its peak customer as the parents prepare for the opening of the school. However, for this year, this sector remains cool in the market, according to the report by some of the business persons. As the results of the examinations from primary school are not yet out, there's a little change in the market for this year. This stationery market includes from school uniform to pencil, which students require in going to school. Most of the stationery shops have only a handful of customers for now, mostly from the local distributors from other regions and states. Most of them will come to Yangon and collect the stationery items and resell at their local market. Ma Chan is one of the stationery shopkeepers at Tenji Market, and she spoke to ML Radio about the current situation of the sales, and she said,
In the wake of COVID-19, the stationery market has dramatically changed, unlike in the past. In the past, it did not matter how huge amount of products we put sale, eventually we would sell them off. However, this is not the case anymore for now. The main reason is we are not sure when exactly the schools are going to open in July or August, so the parents are reluctant to buy the stationery items for their children. The market is not doing well today.
Every year, right after the results of examinations are out, the stationery market used to be doing well till May, and most of the time it is going on till by the end of June. And the market will finally come to a standstill. All normal stationery business is run by the end of June. But the stationery markets are yet to give a head start for this year. Ma Chan also spoke on the rate of the price for all the stationery products for this year, and she also said,
There is not much of a change in the price-wise. Actually, the price has come down except for school uniform. But other items such as umbrella and other prices have actually come down. The reason for the slight change of the prices of school uniform depends on the design and the quality of the clothes. The price range is from slightly above 3,000 Jas to 4,000 Jas, and it can go up to more than 5,000 Jas for the better quality available here.
Maheza Tednai, who is also running a wholesale market for the stationery market at Tenji Market, also spoke to MI Radio.
For now, we come closer to opening of the school day by day, and the sale also starts to recover gradually. Not that bad for these days. We have a reasonable number of distributors and the parents coming to the market for purchase. Some of the challenges that we are facing is, by this time, in the last year, we already had a complete shipping of these items, but for this year, due to restrictions on travel, we have not received all these orders delivered on stationery items. The only thing we can do is pray more so that the virus would go away very soon. Then we can run the business smoothly.
Machosu is one of the distributors who will come to some of the big markets such as Tenji Market and other for distribution of the products, and she also spoke to MI Radio.
We have no work for around 2 months staying at home. Coming to Yangon is a risky walk, especially when I return back. Everyone thinks I have returned back with the virus, as Yangon have higher number of infection in Myanmar.
This is Williamson for MI Radio.
And that's a report on the current situation of the stationery market. That's all we have for today's reports. And here are the international news on Myanmar Today. The international airport of Thailand's famous resort island of Phuket resumed operations on Saturday after a 2-month shutdown caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, the Civil Aviation Authority of Thailand said. The airport was initially scheduled to reopen on May 1st, but the provincial administration decided to continue the shutdown as in late April to early May. Phuket recorded the second highest number of COVID-19 cases in Thailand after Bangkok. Phuket is only allowed to manage domestic flights, as international flights are still banned under Thailand's state of emergency. Meanwhile, the airport rail link between Bangkok and Suvarnabhumi Airport is scheduled to reopen on Monday. Suthap Panpang, managing director of SRT Electric Train Company, an affiliate of the State Railway of Thailand, said that more trips will be provided as passenger demand rises. Also, safety measures will be strictly enforced on the trains, including the requirement to wear face masks and maintain social distancing. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Sunday criticized the anti-racism protests in the United States for sparking crowd violence in his first comments on the issue. The Russian leader stressed he supported Black Americans' struggle for equality, calling this, quote, a long-standing problem of the United States. But Putin added that, quote, when, even after crimes are committed, this takes on elements of radical nationalism and extremism, nothing good will come of this. Putin also described the protest as a sign of, quote, deep-seated internal crises in the U.S., linking the unrest to the coronavirus pandemic, which he said, quote, has shone a spotlight on general problems. He said he nevertheless expected that the fundamental basis of American democracy will allow the country to escape this series of crisis events. In other news, 8 more COVID-19 cases were detected in Beijing as of 7 a.m. on Sunday, all linked to the city's Xinfa market, Pang Xinghua, deputy director of the Beijing Center for Disease Control and Prevention, told media at a press conference on Sunday afternoon. Xinfa, a large wholesale market that sells fruits, vegetables, and meat, is located in Beijing's Fengtai district and has been caught in the spotlight after a new coronavirus cluster was linked to it. Sunday's new coronavirus cases have brought the total number of new COVID-19 cases in Beijing from June 11th to 51. Beijing reported 0 local transmissions for 56 days before June 11th. So far, at least 6 districts in Beijing have reported confirmed cases, with Fengtai being the hardest hit with 37 cases. Other districts include Xicheng, Fangshan, Daxing, Haidian, and Chaoyang. Fengtai to test 46,000 residents living near the market. China's GPS replacement is taking shape as the last satellite in the 30-satellite navigation system will be launched in a few days. China Satellite Navigation Office made the announcement on Sunday. The satellite will be launched from Xichang Satellite Launch Center in southwestern Sichuan province by a long Mark 3B carrier rocket. It has been in the center for preparations for about 2 months ago. China has been working to replace GPS, a U.S. satellite positioning and navigation system, since about 2 decades ago. A total of 59 satellites and 3 generations have been put into use, and the current one, the Beidou 3, is believed to be better than GPS in messaging capacity and accuracy. On Sunday, the Atlanta Police Department announced that Officer Garrett Roth, who shot Rayshard Brooks, a 27-year-old African-American man, dead on Friday, was fired. The second officer, Devin Brosnan, who was involved in the shooting, has been placed on administrative leave. Atlanta Police Chief Erica Shields resigned on Saturday, and the city mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms said Friday's shooting was not a, quote, justified use of deadly force. The death of Rayshard Brooks has sparked the protest against police brutality in Atlanta. The case is currently under investigation by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. The charges against the 2 officers are pending until the investigation results come out. Well, that's all we have for now. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I'm Henry Zin. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you again. Goodbye.